Good morning once again, students. This is Marnie M. Kuyag, ang Teacher M ng Mactan. For today's video, we will go back to Module 1, Lesson 1, because this is very important as we go along the lesson. We will be learning solving quadratic equations by extracting square roots. This is under Module 1, Lesson 1 about illustrating and solving quadratic equation. Actually, there are four methods in solving quadratic equation, but we will just focus today on the first method, which is extracting square roots. By the way, the four methods are extracting square roots, factoring, completing the square, and using the quadratic formula. This lesson is under Lesson 1.2 of Module 1 about solving quadratic equation by extracting square root. Before anything else, let us first unlock the word extracting and square root. Extracting means to pull out or take out forcibly, meaning atong tangtangon or kuhaon. And the square root of a number means a value that when multiplied by itself gives a number. For example, 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to 4. So 2 is a square root of 4. Take note that negative 2 times negative 2 is also 4. So negative 2 is also a square root of 4. Therefore, the square root of 4 is positive and negative 2. In this equation, this is an example of a radical number in which this is the radicand. The number inside this symbol is called the radicand, and this symbol is called the radical sign. And we also have an invisible number here, and that is number 2, that is called the index. It is number 2, that's why ato siyang gibasa nga square root. And this 4 here is a perfect square, is an example of a perfect square. Perfect square means the product of an integer with itself. For example, you have 2, we have number 2, the integer is 2. If we are going to multiply 2 by 2, the answer is 4. And that 4 there is the perfect square. Another integer, 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 there is a perfect square. I have here other example of a perfect square. 1 is a perfect square, and the square root of 1 is positive and negative 1. Positive 4, 4 is a perfect square, and the square root of 4 is positive and negative 2. The square root of 9 is positive and negative 3. The square root of 16 is positive and negative 4. And the square root of 25 is positive and negative 5. And the inverse or the reverse of extracting the square root, or the reverse of this one, is through squaring. 1 square is 1. Next, 2 square is 4. So to check whether your answer is correct, you can do the reverse. So 1, is my answer 1 correct? Okay, let's check. 1 square is 1, so correct. 2 square is 4. Next, 3 square is 9. So meaning 3, your answer nga 3 is correct by squaring the number. Next, 4 square is 16 and 5 square is 25. Now, we are done with a short review, so let's proceed to our main topic. The method of solving the quadratic equation that can be written in the form x squared is equal to k is called extracting square roots. From the given equation, this x squared equals k. Have you noticed something? Try to differentiate this form to the standard form of the quadratic equation, which is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. What had you noticed? Yes, the linear term is lacking. As what you can see, this is our quadratic term and this is our constant, and the linear term is lacking. So, if the linear term is lacking, you are going to use extracting square roots if you are asked to find the roots. So, if ang imuhang given equation is ingani, wala siya linear term, then gipapangita ang values of x, then you are going to use extracting square roots. The following properties can be applied in determining the nature of roots. Given that form, first property, if k is greater than 0, then x squared is equal to k has two real solutions or roots. And these are x is equal to positive and negative square root of k. Now, kindly give me an example of k greater than 0. The numbers which are greater than 0, these are the positive numbers. So if this one, if ingani ang porma sa imong numero, sa imong equation and your k is a positive number, then the values of your x naa kay duha ka value sa imong x. For example, x squared minus 16 is equal to 0. Your first step is you are going to transpose negative 16 to the right side and it becomes positive 16. Afterwards, we need to take out these 2 by extracting square root. To cancel out the square, x, pabilin si x, kay na-cancel naman duha, and the square root of 16 is positive and negative 4. Dapat dili kalimtan si positive and negative 4 because if positive 4 lang imong answer, it's kuwang. If negative lang imong answer, it's kuwang. Because on our first property, if your constant is positive, kinahanglan lang imong answer is duha. Therefore, 4 and negative 4 are the solutions of the quadratic equation x squared minus 16 equals 0. Second property. If k is equal to 0, then x squared equals k has one real solution or root, and that is 0. So if ang imuhang constant is equal to 0 ni siya, then you only have one solution, and that is 0. For example, x squared equals 0. Your constant is 0. First step, if ingani imuhang given, is you're going to extract square root to cancel out the square. Pagka-cancel sa square, x na bilin and the square root of 0 is 0. Therefore, 0 is the solution of the quadratic equation x squared equals 0. Third property. If k is less than 0, then x squared equals k has no real solutions or roots. Now, what do you mean by this? K is less than 0. These are numbers which are negative. So if your k, if your constant is a negative number, then you don't have any solution. For example, first step is we're going to transpose positive 9 and it becomes negative 9. Then we're going to cancel out square by extracting square root. Now since our negative 9 is our radicand, negative 9 is less than 0, then the equation y squared equals negative 9 has no real solutions or roots. Okay, always remember, if ang sulod sa radical symbol, sa radical sign is a negative number, then you don't have any solution because your solution is an imaginary. Now, how about if our given is like this? How about if the value of our a is not 1? So our first step here is, again, we are going to transpose negative 27 to the other side and it becomes positive. Now we need to isolate x squared by dividing both sides by 3. The reason why we need to divide both sides, that is to cancel out 3. After canceling out 3, your 27 divided by 3 is 9, and the square root of 9 is positive and negative 3. Therefore, 3 and negative 3 are the solutions of the quadratic equation 3x squared minus 27 equals 0. How about if our example is like this? The square of m minus 3 minus 36 is equal to 0. Just like sa tuong gibuhat sa una, we are going to transpose negative 36. Then, we need to cancel out the square by extracting square root. Then cancel out the square root, cancel the square, nabilin, m minus 3, and the square root of 36 is positive and negative 6. Now, we need to isolate m. Kinahanglan si m rausa ang mabilin sa left side. So, we need to transpose negative 3 to the other side and it becomes positive 3. Now, we cannot add these numbers because we have two signs. So, we need to separate these two signs, the positive and negative. On the left side, we have positive 6 plus 3. And on the other side, we have negative 6 plus 3. So, 6 plus 3 is 9. And negative 6 plus 3, according to the law of addition and subtraction of integers, if our sign is different, then we need to subtract. 6 minus 3 is 3. Then copy the sign of the bigger number, and our bigger number is 6, and its sign is negative, so we need to copy negative. So the value of your m is negative 3. Therefore, 9 and negative 3 are the solutions of the quadratic equation, the square of m minus 3 minus 36 is equal to 0. These are the things to remember in using the extracting square root. Solve equations of the form ax squared plus c equals 0 by extracting square roots, or ax squared equals k. If ingana nga porma, then you are going to use extracting square roots. Extracting roots involves isolating the square and then applying the square root property. Remember to include positive and negative when taking the square root of both sides. So dili kalimtan si positive ug si negative if you are going to get the square root of that certain number. After applying the square root property, solve each of the resulting equations. Be sure to simplify all radical expressions and rationalize the denominators. So, kinahanglan, your answer should be in simplified form. Kung kinahanglan i-reduce, i-reduce. Kung kinahanglan i-simplify, you need to simplify. So, I guess that would be all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell button to receive notifications about my new videos. Thank you and have a great day.